piece of Togo leather will cost 450 USD. The thread, the cost is 25 USD. The hardware will cost 150 USD. Edge oil. For each bag, it will cost 50 USD. The interior lining, for each bag, the cost will be 100 USD. And the vapor for one bag is 10 USD. The human resource cost will be 600 USD. Package, 10 USD. The total cost will be 1,400 USD.
Which is less than 3.7% of the bag's retail price.
During the pandemic, luxury prices skyrocketed, and many loyal shoppers found themselves completely priced out. Around 5 years ago, designer brands like Chanel raised prices by nearly 30%, making it harder for the middle-class, aspirational buyer, the ones who used to treat themselves to 1 or 2 luxury bags a year, to keep up. Those days of birthday or holiday splurges on a dream designer piece suddenly felt out of reach. Now, the resale market tells an even bigger story. Even the once coveted Birkin bags are seeing prices dip at auctions, despite a few high-profile sales grabbing headlines. This shift has caught everyone's attention, especially since, during the pandemic, designer demand hit record highs. Back in 2021 and 2022, interest in luxury items exploded online, and creators everywhere noticed the buzz surrounding brands like Hermes and Chanel. Birkins and Kellys used to be viewed as the ultimate status symbols. A bag you could buy for £10,000 and, almost overnight, resell for £20,000. But that game seems to be changing fast. Reports suggest that the number of buyers chasing these bags has dropped significantly, and this trend isn't limited to just Hermes. Chanel, too, appears to be feeling the pressure. A quick scroll through secondhand platforms and consignment stores shows countless Chanel pieces available, often around £2,000 for a classic flap bag. Not brand new, but still looking pristine. That says a lot about where the market is heading. Many collectors have even shared that they're parting ways with their once-beloved collections. Some say they've sold off several pieces simply because the excitement is gone, even saying it feels overwhelming to look at all those unused luxury items now. It's a fascinating shift in how people view designer fashion today. A mix of nostalgia, fatigue, and changing priorities in the world of high-end shopping. Luxury handbags have always carried sky-high price tags, but the market's recent shifts have left collectors and shoppers stunned. 2 Hermes bags, once owned by the legendary Jane Birkin, were sold at auction for several $millions, proving that certain rare pieces still hold incredible value. However, the overall trend tells a very different story. Resale prices for Birkins and Kellys have reportedly dropped since the pandemic, marking a major shift in what was once considered a booming investment market. Many fashion followers point to economic pressures as a key reason. Inflation, higher living costs, and changing spending habits have made it harder for aspirational buyers, those who used to save up for a luxury purchase, to justify such steep price tags. This shift has caused a noticeable slowdown in sales, especially for top-tier designer items, once seen as must-haves. Several industry observers have also suggested that continuous price hikes by major designer brands may have turned loyal buyers away. In past years, it was possible to find stylish, well-crafted luxury bags for around £2,000 or even less, including smaller Chanel styles, like the classic mini flaps. Now, that price range has nearly vanished. At present, very few major fashion houses still cater to mid-range luxury shoppers. Some brands like Gucci offer options starting around £1,500, but often in canvas rather than leather. For many consumers, spending £2,000 or more on a handbag now feels excessive, especially when there are fewer options and less perceived value. This dramatic change in accessibility has left many longtime collectors and content creators shocked. According to a well-known price tracking source, the average premium for Birkins and Kellys, meaning how much they resell for above their retail price, has dropped significantly. In 2022, the average resale premium was around 2.2 times the original price. By late 2025, it had fallen to just 1.4 times. Even the popular Birkin Togo 30 model is reportedly reselling at nearly its original price, a sharp decline from past years when buyers would pay 1.7 times in 2022 and 1.9 times in 2018. That's a massive market adjustment. Experts also note that during the pandemic, there was a period of shopping excitement that influenced these trends. Many consumers found themselves spending more on luxury goods while staying at home, creating an unusual wave of enthusiasm for high-end fashion. In regions like the UK, government financial support programs allowed many people to maintain their income during lockdowns, which, according to some reports, may have contributed to that short-lived shopping surge. Now, as the market stabilizes, the once unshakable luxury resale scene appears to be finding a new balance, one where exclusivity alone may no longer guarantee profit. During the pandemic, government support programs meant that many people were temporarily unable to work, even though their jobs were protected. With travel, entertainment, and dining options off limits, a noticeable shift occurred in how people chose to spend their money. Suddenly, luxury goods, especially designer handbags, became a popular outlet for those looking to treat themselves while staying at home. News outlets around the world even reported long lines outside designer boutiques once lockdowns ended. People who had saved money during that period were eager to indulge in items they couldn't buy for months. It became a global trend, a kind of post-lockdown spending wave centered around luxury fashion. At the time, content creators were seeing record engagement in this niche. For example, some influencers partnered with luxury platforms like Farfetch, sharing special discount codes that gave buyers around 10% off high-end brands, such as Saint Laurent, Prada, and Miu Miu. These codes weren't affiliate programs, but simply promotional deals offered to viewers who wanted a better price on premium pieces. During that period, audiences were thrilled by these opportunities, frequently sharing their purchases and experiences online. However, that era of discounts and shopping enthusiasm has largely faded. These days, many longtime followers of fashion content have seen their lifestyles evolve. New priorities, family responsibilities, and financial commitments have taken center stage. With rising costs and economic uncertainty, designer bags have naturally become less of a focus for many shoppers. Luxury market analysts now report that aspirational buyers, those who once saved for a dream handbag, are facing more financial pressure due to inflation and a slower job market. This has led to fewer bidders at high-end auctions, particularly for bags like Birkins and Kellys. At the same time, the growing availability of luxury items on pre-owned platforms and consignment websites has created new competition for the traditional resale scene. Many shoppers are now choosing to buy from trusted secondhand sources, such as Vestiaire Collective, rather than paying inflated auction prices. After all, why spend a fortune at auction when the same model can be found online for far less? Experts say this shift is reshaping how people value luxury today. Designer pieces are still admired, but buyers are becoming more practical, focusing on quality and fair pricing instead of status alone. What once felt like a high-end race to own the rarest bag has evolved into a more balanced market, one where consumers are thoughtful, strategic, and mindful about where their money goes. One concern that often comes up in the secondhand luxury market is authenticity. When buying from open marketplaces such as eBay or Vestiaire Collective, there's always the potential risk of encountering counterfeit items, according to consumer reports. However, consignment companies with established reputations usually perform far more thorough authentication checks. These businesses often provide added security for buyers, giving them a point of contact if any authenticity questions arise later. That level of reassurance is what keeps many collectors returning to trusted sellers. Still, what's striking in the luxury resale world right now is the sheer volume of designer bags available. Brands like Hermes, once seen as nearly impossible to access, are now appearing in large numbers online. For instance, collectors browsing sites like Vestiaire Collective can find countless listings for popular models in various colors and materials, far more than ever before. What's especially surprising is the pricing trend. While some sellers continue to list bags for above retail prices, those aren't necessarily the ones being sold. Instead, the listings attracting the most attention and the quickest sales are often priced at or below retail value. Many recent observations show that the number of Hermes bags available under the £8,000 mark has increased dramatically, a major change from just a few years ago. 5 years ago, finding a Birkin bag for less than £10,000 was nearly unheard of unless it was an older or heavily restored piece. Today, however, the resale landscape looks very different. Prices appear to be dropping steadily, reshaping how both buyers and collectors perceive the luxury handbag market. A recent data chart tracking Birkin and Kelly resale premiums from late 2014 through 2025 paints a fascinating picture. In 2014, these handbags were reportedly selling at around 2.4 times their original retail price, a massive premium driven by exclusivity and limited supply. Over time, those premiums have gradually declined, but what stands out most is the noticeable spike that occurred during the pandemic years. Analysts believe that period reflected a burst of demand, as consumers who couldn't travel or spend on experiences redirected their money toward luxury purchases. However, as global lifestyles normalized and financial conditions tightened, resale values began to stabilize and, in some cases, decline. The once unreachable luxury market is becoming more accessible, though the shift also signals a broader change in how consumers view value and exclusivity. Now, rather than chasing extreme markups, many luxury buyers are focusing on smarter purchases, seeking authenticity, fair pricing, and long-term satisfaction over quick investment gains. This new era of designer reselling may not have the same hype as before, but it certainly has the attention of fashion watchers everywhere. Recent resale data shows that luxury handbag premiums, which once averaged around 2.2 times their retail price, have fallen sharply, returning to levels last seen in 2016. Although there has been a slight upward movement recently, the overall trend remains significantly lower than the peaks of previous years. This major adjustment has led many market watchers to ask, what's really happening to luxury fashion right now? Experts and collectors alike have begun sharing their theories. Some suggest that the luxury industry may be entering a period of uncertainty. For years, designer brands built strong demand by raising prices and limiting access. But those same strategies may now be backfiring. Middle-class and aspirational buyers, the customers who used to save up to buy 1 or 2 luxury items a year, have reportedly been priced out of the market. Many of these shoppers once saw luxury purchases as personal milestones, buying a special bag for a birthday, anniversary, or holiday celebration. But starting around the pandemic, several major brands significantly increased their prices. Chanel, for example, was widely reported to have raised prices across multiple product categories by roughly 30% or more over a 2-year period. These aggressive price increases, according to analysts, may have distanced a key segment of loyal customers. While there are still high-net-worth collectors purchasing multiple luxury bags each year, the majority of brand enthusiasts fall into the middle-income bracket, the so-called aspirational buyers. And that group makes up a massive portion of global luxury spending. Industry observers argue that excluding this audience could have long-term consequences. The everyday luxury shopper, who once purchased a single designer bag annually or occasionally invested in smaller accessories like wallets or cosmetics, played a crucial role in maintaining both brand prestige and consistent revenue. Each of these purchases represented an entry point into the luxury world, a way for consumers to feel connected to an elite brand without needing unlimited wealth. Now, with many of those buyers stepping back, the market is showing signs of imbalance. The ultra-rich collector market remains strong, but it can't sustain the same level of widespread demand that fueled the industry's explosive growth in the past decade. The shift highlights a possible new chapter for luxury fashion, one where exclusivity may need to be balanced with accessibility again. Whether brands adapt or continue to raise prices remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: the dynamics of who buys luxury and why are changing fast. Analysts note that when luxury brands raise prices too high, they risk losing an entire segment of loyal customers. Once those everyday buyers, often referred to as aspirational consumers, feel excluded, it can directly impact a brand's sales and long-term growth. Many observers say this is exactly what's happening in parts of the luxury industry right now. Since the pandemic, economies across the world have shifted dramatically. During lockdown periods, there was what some economists describe as a temporary economic peak. In certain countries, financial assistance programs helped workers maintain income even while staying at home. With limited opportunities to travel or spend on entertainment, many people redirected that extra money toward online shopping, including luxury goods. However, once that period ended and normal spending patterns returned, the market began to cool down. As time passed, inflation rose, living costs increased, and disposable income started to shrink for many households. According to recent reports, higher unemployment and reduced purchasing power have made luxury shopping less accessible to a broad audience, especially those who once viewed buying a designer piece as an annual treat rather than an everyday activity. Content creators and resale platforms have also noticed this shift firsthand. Many former luxury buyers have reportedly shared that they haven't purchased a designer bag in several years, explaining that financial priorities have changed. Some say their focus is now on essential expenses, from housing to daily living costs, rather than luxury splurges. Economic data from multiple regions supports these observations. Markets like the UK, for instance, have experienced slower growth and rising costs in recent years. With such conditions, many consumers are choosing practicality over prestige, prioritizing stability and savings instead of high-end purchases. Industry experts believe this evolving mindset could reshape luxury fashion in a lasting way. When shoppers begin to associate luxury spending with financial strain rather than reward, the emotional connection to these brands can weaken. As one market commentator explained, it's not just about the product, it's about how people feel when they buy it. This sentiment captures the new reality for many luxury consumers. When everyday necessities like food, housing, and energy demand more of a household's income, spending £5,000 on a handbag becomes a far less appealing option. The shift isn't necessarily about rejecting luxury. It's about redefining what truly feels worth the investment in uncertain economic times. Industry watchers describe the current luxury landscape as a perfect storm, a mix of steady price hikes and challenging global economic conditions that are changing how people spend their money. Across many regions, the combination of inflation, higher living costs, and years of price increases from major designer houses has made it harder for middle-income shoppers to participate in the luxury market like they once did. According to several reports, this shift has created what experts are calling a buyer's market in the pre-owned luxury space. On platforms such as Vestiaire Collective, resale prices for high-end items have become more competitive than ever. For those who still love fashion and luxury craftsmanship, this might actually be the best time in years to explore secondhand options. Many analysts believe the market is simply adjusting, moving from a phase of inflated prices and scarcity to one where fair value and practicality matter more. This evolution is giving buyers more power, greater choice, and access to designer items that were once out of reach. The prestige of luxury remains, but the rules of the game are shifting fast. For viewers following the ups and downs of the luxury world, this story is far from over. More changes are coming, and the resale market could continue to reshape what luxury really means in modern times. If you've enjoyed diving into these insights on the future of designer fashion, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive into what's really happening behind the glossy world of luxury.